Okay, easy done for you.
Well, welcome everybody to today's webinar on moving your accounting systems to the cloud. We thank you for your attendance. We know we're now facing a different period in time for almost all of us. A new experience particularly in Melbourne with some stage 4 restrictions. So thank you for joining. And I think today's presentation, which will be performed by Maxwell Law of Xero, who's a senior account manager. And Maxwell's actually helped us quite considerably as a business over a long period of time. Maxwell will be presenting on moving your accounting system to the cloud, whether that be from a manual system or some other accounting software. It's a really, I think, timely topic. As a principal of Wilson Pateris, what I've experienced, particularly in the past little period of time, is that the ability to send paper around in terms of clients sending in documentation and physically seeing us is clearly very restricted. And the cloud benefits of Xero have helped really facilitate the way in which we work, and we've delivered benefits to clients and the benefits that clients get through that process in terms of the instant access to information. So just an aside to that, my dad is actually a bookkeeper, and I received a phone call from him very early this morning. He was driving in to go do some client bookkeeping, actually, for one of the last times, he told me. And what he said to me was, he called me up. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Oh, Nick, am I allowed to go and see a client now?" And I said, "Look, I don't think you can. I think the restrictions stop you from seeing a client." Then my next question was, "Well, Dad, is the client on Xero? Because if the client's on Xero, you probably don't need to get in the car anymore, and the client can work with you online, and you can do all the great things that Xero does that means you can get the job done without having to be near each other." So today's presentation will hopefully deal with some of those issues and give you some more insight on the benefits of Xero. Max will talk for about 45 minutes. There's a little chat function. Anyone who's not familiar with Zoom, there's a little chat function at the bottom. So if you'd like to raise some questions there's a Q&A button and a chat button. If you'd like to raise your questions, please put them in. Ask Max, and we can hopefully answer any of those questions. So without further delay, over to you, Max, to do the presentation.
Yeah, too easy. Thank you so much for that, Nick. And hi, everyone. Good morning. So really appreciate everyone, giving up their time this morning. Do understand it is quite a challenging period at the moment. So, hopefully you do get a lot out of today's session. So for today, I am dialing in from my dining table at the moment. So I've been working from home since March. Me being on the dining table, that's the fight that I lost with my wife. She got the home office. But yeah, no, it's definitely a new form of operation, and of course, a new form of normality moving forward too. So as you can see, my last name is Law. So I unfortunately did not end up becoming a lawyer. Prior to joining Xero, I was and still am a very proud certified accountant. So, over time, worked in many different firms and just came to realize that technology is here to stay. It is here to make our lives a lot easier as well. And of course, it is here to give us back time in our day-to-day too. So through the times working in those different firms, I like to compare what was out there to what I was doing within those firms and what businesses were doing with technology as well. So hopefully from today, from my session, you'll be able to see what you can do within Xero, and of course, give you back time to really, really sustain, operate, and of course, retain your own businesses too. Cool. So as Nick mentioned, if you do have any audio visual issues in relation to Zoom itself, I do recommend closing off other applications. So if you're like me with a short attention span, any chats that you've got open at the side, if you don't mind just minimizing that would be great as well. And in relation to any questions that you might have, at the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A box there. So, you can put in your questions there. And if we do have time at the end of the session, more than happy to answer those questions too. Cool. So just to start off with, what I thought would be a good idea is just to talk about the purpose of Xero. And then from there, I can jump into the demonstration of the different features that you and the business can take advantage of within Xero itself. So our purpose really is to make life better for people in small businesses, their advisors, and communities around the world. So what we mean by this is we want to ensure that everyone is able to easily collaborate with each other, whether it be your advisors like Wilson Pateris, businesses, and of course, third parties like banks as well. So this is actually quite a cool slide here, one of my favorite ones. It shows the cloud adoption rate within Australia. And you can see businesses and practices itself have really adopted the cloud technology moving forward. So it shows from the mid-1990s all the way up to the mid-2010s. So not the most up to date, but you can see the speed in which Victoria and New South Wales has really picked up cloud. All the other states are starting to catch up now as well. And what this really shows is the changing ways in which businesses and of course your customers, your advisors are communicating and collaborating with each other too. So what this means is, a storm of market conditions has really created a domino effect in which we've built our platform. So back in the past, internet used to be quite expensive, pretty slow, but you notice nowadays it's a lot quicker, a lot cheaper as well. Aside from that too, business needs are starting to change a lot more. So nowadays you're asking for more advisory services, aside from compliance, which is still here to stay. So your tax returns, your activity statements, but now you're asking for more, okay, how do you scale your business? How do you retain? And of course, how do you sustain your business moving forward too? So those value added services. You'll notice as well is a lot of technology, a lot of software providers are starting to move away from supporting the desktop technology. So a lot of these providers are starting to make that transition to the cloud themselves as well. So luckily for Xero, one of our competitive advantages is that we were built in the cloud from day one for the cloud. So we haven't had to make this transition at all. Not saying that we're a perfect platform. We do have bugs ourselves as well, but you can just imagine for some of these other software providers, what that transition is going to look like moving forward too. Currently, one of the biggest things that happened a couple of years ago is, of course, STP. So this has really changed the way in which businesses report payroll up to the ATO. And you can see where this is going in relation to government trying to get as much more information moving forward too. So that's that paperless push towards that digital environment that you're really, really starting to see. Of course, COVID-19, global pandemic, one of the biggest things here as well. And honestly, coming out from this is really going to change the way in which businesses operate, right? So some of the questions I would start mentioning is, thinking back to this situation, were you ready to work remotely? Were you ready to service your clients remotely as well? And hopefully through Xero, you will have that ability to do that too. Coming up in the future, or it is already here as well, is open banking. So open banking, this is really going to change the way in which information from your bank flows into Xero moving forward. So, the update of information, the type of information that you can start getting from those banks in relation to your transaction going through your businesses, it's really going to change the way in which you operate, because you're going to get timely information coming through, which means that you get a really clean snapshot of how your business is tracking at any point in time. E-invoicing, this is a really, really big one here as well. And this is going to allow you to pretty much bill and invoice your clients software to software. So, just a better experience for your clients, and of course ensures that you get paid a lot quicker too. So that convenience side of things is really, really going to expedite there. So all these changes coming in, really being pushed by the government. And like I mentioned, it's that paperless push towards that digital environment. And, one of the questions that you should be asking within your businesses is, are you ready for these changes? Is your business catered for this as well? And this is where, Xero and Wilson Terrace, of course, we can help you with this transition itself too. So just a couple of reasons why you should be using Xero itself as well. So first things first, the connectivity. You're working on the same file. So online file, single source of truth, where both you and your advisors will be jumping in, and you'll be able to work and keep data up to date. From there, being on the cloud, security is number one for us as well. So best in class data protection. We are really, really on top of that, and really, really do invest a lot of money in that too. Enterprise grade performance. So as long as you've got the internet, you're good to go in relation to Xero itself. And like I mentioned previously, Xero will build in the cloud from day one for the cloud. So we haven't had to make any transition from a desktop technology. And this comes hand in hand with the connectivity side, where it makes it really, really easy for you, your team, and of course your advisors to collaborate with each other as well. We've got 24/7 award-winning support. So what this means is our support team chases the sun. So what I mean by that is when Australia closes for their business hours, America or the UK will open up, meaning that you'll always have someone to connect with and contact if you do have any issues. Lastly, continuous innovation. So this is this one actually holds quite true to my heart in the sense that we continuously want to improve our software, and so a lot of the income that we generate through the Xero subscriptions, for example, we reinvest that within the business itself through R&D, for example, because we do want to ensure that the features, the functions are still relevant for the businesses out there. Just a couple of numbers here on the screen in relation to the type of value that we're bringing to our customers. And, you know, it's really reflective of the growing and the size of business moving forward too. The figures that I really wanted to point out in this case, though, is, you know, the 180 different countries where Xero is being used in. So that globalization is quite prominent there. Aside from that as well, our ecosystem, which is a very big part of what we do at Xero. So the 800 plus different add-ons. So think of it like your iPhone, your Android, depending on the type of information you want, you download different apps, right? So similar to that, Xero, you can do that as well. So at Xero, we focus in on what we do best, accounting and tax, but we've got an open ecosystem, which means that you can pick and choose the different add-ons that suits your industry, that will really expand your service offerings, for example. And then from there, with that integration, it means that you can actually build out the business that you want, because I feel that gone are the days of what you see is what you get. Now it's more the flexibility of building out what you need and what you use as well. Aside from that as well, we do have a lot of developers within Xero itself, which means that if the demand is there, we will look to improve our features and build certain features within Xero to help our businesses out there as well. Cool. So just to really sum up real quick, in relation to Xero, the single ledger really underpins everything that we do. So that's just the baseline of everything there. So the single ledger, what we mean once again is you've got a single source of truth, you've got a single file where you can pick and choose who you want to invite into those files. So from there, you can easily collaborate once again between different people. So single ledger, really big one there, where we're starting to move away from having multiple different environments that you have. We want everything to be talking to each other. We want all the different data to flow between all these different environments as well. And that's why, the single ledger really underpins everything that we do. Cool. So with that, what I'll do now is actually jump into a demonstration of some of our core features. So, these features here really should be quite front of mind for businesses out there. So if you've got bank reconciliation, and I'll touch on what HubDoc is as well, of course, invoicing, a couple of reports that the business itself can use and generate within Xero, and of course, payroll as well. Cool. So let me jump into my demonstration, and hopefully everyone can see my Xero page here. Let me just hit a refresh and make sure everything's all good to go. Perfect. So this is pretty much what a Xero file looks like. So when both you and your advisors log into Xero, you're going to jump straight onto the dashboard page. So within the dashboard, you've got, big ticket items, things like your bank account, where it's sitting at, what needs to be reconciled. You've got your account watch list, which, where you can pin different accounts on what you want to pay attention to, right? So what are your big ticket accounts that you want to be aware of? And it's going to show you this month's figure, year-to-date figure itself as well. From there, you've got invoices owed to you, bills you need to pay, total cash in and out. So Xero, we've tried to keep things very simple. Back in practice, I used to fall into the trap of using big words with my clients, and unfortunately, they didn't really understand it. In this case, though, as you can see, it's just money in, money out, and what the difference is, right? So it just gives you a little clean breakdown of how your business is tracking to. So for today, what I want to do is, reconcile some transactions within my Xero file. So I'm going to just jump into my reconciliation page. And over here, this is one of a really great technology that Xero has itself, and it's something called bank feeds. So on the left-hand side are transactions flowing through your bank account. So at the close of each business day, these transactions will flow into the Xero file from your bank itself. On the right-hand side, Xero's technology is going to try create and match off against these bank feeds based off what has previously been raised within Xero. So any invoices, any bills that has been raised, Xero's technology is going to try match that off against the bank feed. Once it's been able to do that, it lights up in green, you click OK. And just like that, a transaction is reconciled. So, it is quite an easy way to get your files clean and reconcile transactions moving forward too. So once again, I'm looking at this. This looks quite good to me. Click OK, and you're good to go. So word of warning about this though, of course, when it lights up in green, don't get too trigger happy as well. Just make sure you do double check everything to make sure that that all looks good. Another feature within our reconciliation side is, of course, the discuss tab here as well. So this is quite underutilized. So I do like to mention this when I present Xero. And this is where you can start, commentating on the different transactions going through your business. So rather than code things into the wrong sections, for example, you can start easily collaborating with your advisors by using this discuss tab here. So don't code it into the wrong account, use this one here, and I'll show you a report that you can run where you can collaborate with your advisors to fix up all these different things. Cool. The next feature within my Xero reconciliation side is, of course, the bank rules function as well. So as we know, sometimes we get regular transactions that are similar. So think bank feeds, for example. So what I want to do in this case to speed up the process is to actually create a bank rule. So for today, what I want to do is create a bank rule for my Cooper Street Bakery transaction. So all I need to do is just click options, click create bank rule. And then from there, as it suggests, what you can do is start setting up this bank rule to kick in whenever a Cooper Street Bakery transaction comes through. So I want to make sure that anytime a transaction that contains Cooper Street, this bank rule will kick in and it will know where to code things into the right section. So in relation to my Cooper Street Bakery transaction, I wanted to code with the description of coffee with friends. The account is, of course, general expenses, tax rate, GST on expenses, and I want to make sure that my bank rule is targeting all my bank accounts here. So anytime a Cooper Street Bakery transaction comes through, it's going to know to code things into the right section. So once I've done that, I'm going to click save. And moving forward now, scrolling down, you'll see that within my Cooper Street Bakery transaction, that bank rule has now been applied. And all you need to do now, once you're happy with that, is click OK. If you're not happy with it, you can choose not to apply the rule, or you can edit the rule itself as well. So, this is really going to expedite the process of cleaning up your file and ensure that there's consistency moving forward too, just to ensure all the regular similar transactions are coded into the right areas. The last thing that I'll touch on in relation to our reconciliation side of things is, of course, the find and match feature here as well. So take, for example, as a client, I'm working on my file and I know that this transaction is made up of 2 different invoices. Unfortunately, Xero hasn't been able to match it off. What I can do in this case though, is just click find and match. From there, I just need to search up smart, click enter, and straight away, you will see that these 2 transactions and with the relevant invoice number matching my bank description itself as well, that matches up. So I'm going to select those. And straight away that lights up in green. All you need to do is click OK. And once again, that transaction has been reconciled. So you can see how easy it is to reconcile and clean up your files moving forward too. So that's the reconciliation side of things. The next thing that I want to touch on is, of course, one of our greatest invention, the find and recode function here. So, as a client, sometimes you jump into your file and there's certain areas, certain accounts that you want to look at just to make sure that the correct things has gone through it. So through Xero, what you can use is something called find and recode. So you can go accounting, under advanced, you've got find and recode here. So clicking into that, as its name suggests, what you're doing within find and recode is finding certain transactions, and then if it's incorrect or if you want to move it somewhere else, you can recode that with the correct description, correct tax rate itself as well. So in this case, I'm just going to click find and recode. And for today, what I want to do is look under my relevant account. So the general expenses account, for example. So I'm jumping into my general expenses account. And straight away, you can see all the different transactions that has gone through my general expenses account. So previously, I coded in Cooper Street Bakery, coffee with friends. So of course, this shouldn't be a general expense. This should be going into my entertainment account. So what I want to do in this case is select this particular transaction. And from there, I can recode either the source transaction or with a manual journal. So I would suggest recoding it with a source transaction here. And of course, the correct account this should be going into is entertainment. The tax rate, GST free. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to click OK, review that, confirm. And just like that, you have easily, reconciled and recoded the transaction into the correct account with the correct tax rate there as well. So, this again is a really easy way to start cleaning up the file to ensure that things are in the correct spots moving forward too. Cool. So just a quick question here. If you no longer want bank reconciliation for one of your accounts, so in relation to that's just available for you. If you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to use it, there's different ways in which you can go around that as well. But I can send you through some information around that, Christine, after today's session if you want. Cool. So the next thing that I thought would be quite handy here as well, since we're talking about reconciliation, is some of the reports that Xero has in itself too. So what I want to do is jump into accounting and going into reports. So previously I mentioned, clients and businesses should start making use of that discuss tab to work closely with your advisors, right? Because the worst thing that could happen is you coding things into the wrong section, which means it's going to cost more time, cost more money to clean the file up. And this is why by using the discuss tab, once you've done that, you can actually run a report called the uncoded statement lines. So within this, it's going to generate the transactions that hasn't been reconciled yet. And as you can see here, all your comments will be populated within this particular report. So what I want to do with this particular report is export it out to PDF. And let me show you what it looks like in the PDF format. So over here, you've got your transactions that hasn't been reconciled. And of course, if you're unsure about certain things, put it in your comment section here within the Xero file itself. Once you've done that, you can send that through to your advisors. And then from there, they can start coaching you and they can start, minimizing the errors moving forward too. Because take, for example, you've got NAB bank feed there. What I can do is just go create a bank group, right? Easy like that. And this is that exchange and that easy collaboration that you can generate within the Xero platform itself. Awesome. So that's the uncoded statement line itself. So this is all within the Xero file, and this is just really in relation to the reconciliation and the cleansing of the data. But what Xero we wanted to do is we wanted to take it to the next level again. And this is where we wanted to take advantage of our own ecosystem. So a couple of years ago, Xero, we acquired a company called HubDoc. So HubDoc is really going to change the way in which you provide documentations to your advisors and the way in which you can push information into your Xero file as well for your generation of invoices or your bills, for example, too. So within each and every of your Xero file moving forward, if I drop down to the left-hand corner, you've got HubDoc sitting there as well. So previously this was a separate charge. Now this has been bundled in together with the Xero plans moving forward. So what I'll do now is jump into my HubDoc environment and show you how it will really change the way your workflow works and how you can get information into your Xero file moving forward too. So HubDoc, like I mentioned, two components to it. First one is getting all your source documents into the same central spot. Second one is to push information from those source documents into your Xero file as well. So in relation to HubDoc, you can only connect one HubDoc file to one Xero file. So the first thing that I want to do is just make sure that the integration has been set up properly. So within the integration section here, you can see that I've already connected my HubDoc file to my relevant Xero file here. And of course, you can push for the different tax rates as well. HubDoc can connect to some of our competitors out there as well. You might notice the big purple one, MyOp, isn't sitting here at the moment. So, HubDoc does not connect with MyOp. But if you do want similar functions as HubDoc, there is the receipt bank option too. If you do have any cloud storage within your business itself, what you can start doing is after accumulating and collecting your source documents within HubDoc, you can push these source documents into your Dropbox or your Google Drive, for example. So your invoices, your statements, your bills, for example, that can also be pushed into your own cloud storage system. Cool. So the first thing I want to do when I'm in HubDoc is to get my information into here. So what I want to do here is click Upload Documents. So there's three different ways in which you can get documentations into HubDoc. The first way is you can browse on your computer, and then from there, any invoices, any receipts, any statements that you might have, you can just upload that straight up into HubDoc moving forward. The second way in which you can get documents into HubDoc is by making use of this unique email address here. So rather than emailing your advisors 20 different PDFs, for example, I would suggest emailing it straight through to this unique email address, which means that all your documents will be sitting in a central form. So it will be sitting in a central spot within HubDoc moving forward, saves you the time of, going through 20 different emails to find your different documents, or your advisors doing the same thing as well. The third and last way in which you can get documents into HubDoc is by downloading the HubDoc mobile app. So whenever you're on the road, or if you've got an invoice, a receipt, for example, what you can do is snap a picture of that receipt, and from that point on, that information pushes into HubDoc as well. So if I close this off here, you'll see that those documents that I've just uploaded previously, that's now sitting within HubDoc. And brings to my, so what I wanted to point out as well within HubDoc is that we do have a filing system within HubDoc itself too. So whenever you upload an invoice, a bill, any documents, it's gonna try pick up the payee details at the top, and then from there automatically create these folders for you. So it makes it very easy for you just to log in, and then from there find what you need within these folders itself. What you can do within these folders, you can add new folders, you can rename it, you can delete it. Best thing about these as well is you can download these files or export it to CSV as well. So for example, if there's a bunch of documents that you have to provide to someone, but you don't want them to get access to HubDoc, what you can do is you can actually download all these files in a zip format and then provide it to whoever you want to provide it to. So nice and easy way to accumulate and collect all the source documents moving forward. So, just back to Nick's story about his dad being the bookkeeper and exchanging information like that. Just imagine, being able to work like this online, having the source documents in place here, and the easy collaboration between you and your advisors like Wilson Terrace. So, really, really big game changer there.
So back to a quick question for you.
Yeah, sure.
If the client has had a situation where they're using, because most people would use their normal Outlook inbox, the means of communication with the rest of the world, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's what would be receiving this information. So what would be the best way for clients to be able to transition from that being the source of communication to this HubDoc email?
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely great question there. So in relation to that, is just thinking about that workflow. So even when you do reach out to your advisors, so the client might email yourself, for example, with a PDF. As a form of a workaround, you can start CCing in this particular unique email address there, right? So it just means that, okay, you've communicated that with your advisors, but at the same time as well, that the document is being sent through to HubDoc too.
Yeah.
So
what you're talking about is that this email address wouldn't necessarily take over your Outlook.
No, yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
You would have it as a copy. So
correct.
You have to get into the discipline, I suppose, of
exactly.
HubDoc as you do things.
Exactly right. And a good example for this is, for example, if you do get bank statements from your banks. So rather than, having your personal email where your bank will be sending those bank statements through to, you could just provide them with this particular email address here, which means you can jump in, you've got your source documents sitting in one spot. But when it comes to communicating with your advisors though, picking up the phone, having that direct contact with your advisors, that's still a good way to go. But this is just more gonna, take away the friction of data collection and having the source documents in place from day one. Yeah, which is a big one there. Cool. So another really great feature within HubDoc as well is the auto fetch function. So, let's just say if you're like myself, you want to find different shortcuts on, how to be more efficient, how to save more time. You can actually start making use of the auto fetch function here. So take, for example, as a business, I have my communications through Telstra. So rather than me chasing up Telstra or, waiting for those information to come through on Telstra, what I can do is I can set up a connection between HubDoc to my Telstra account. So how I do this is click Telstra. Before I go into that, in relation to the suppliers, I should have mentioned, we do integrate, or HubDoc does integrate with, over 200 to 250 different suppliers as well. So, that's really going to change the way in which you can get information from, things like Bunnings, Stripe, Telstra, for example. So what I want to do in this case is connect my HubDoc file to my Telstra account as well. So all I need to do here is put in my Telstra credentials. So in this case, because it's a demo environment, I can put whatever I want, but usually you'll put your own Telstra credentials here. click add account. And what's going to happen now is HubDoc is going to log into your Telstra account, and it's going to go and scan for any new documents, new invoices that has been generated within your Telstra account. Once it's found that, if I close this off, it's going to go and fetch those invoices for you from those particular Telstra account as well. So what this means is no longer would you need to, manually chase those invoices up, download those invoices and upload it up for yourself. Set up that connection with your suppliers, and moving forward, any newly generated invoices, you can, HubDoc is going to go and automatically fetch that for you. And that's just going to flow into HubDoc moving forward as well. And as you can see here, that folder has been automatically created there too. So once again, this is really going to streamline the way in which you can get your relevant documents, and of course, having everything up to date moving forward. So that sign-on process that I've just showed you previously, you only need to do that once. Moving forward, that's going to automatically fetch it for you. So, really, really big game changer there as well. Awesome. So those are some of the features that I thought I'll touch on with HubDoc, but how does this then integrate with Xero moving forward as well? So let's just say for today, we're working on my carbon invoice. So in what HubDoc has done here is it's then extracted out the key data within this particular invoice and populated it within here. So you've got your supplier's name, invoice number, date, due date, amount, GST amount itself as well. Once you've connected HubDoc to your Xero file, what you can start doing is you can push this information into your Xero file, which means that you don't need to raise an invoice within Xero. This can automatically be done within HubDoc itself. So, saves you a bit of time there as well. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to push it to a awaiting payment transaction. All I need to do is create a new contact, which is carbon. And from there, I want to make sure that it's coded into the right areas as well. So I want this particular carbon invoice to be pushed as office expenses. And just to show that I'm not cheating or anything like that as well, I'll put Wilson Pateras there in the comments, click publish. What's happening here? Carbon, publish. Perfect. And what's happening now is HubDoc is now going to push this information into your Xero file. So, this is really going to cut out the manual transposition of data, the need to manually create invoices or bills as well. So as you can see here, this transaction has been pushed into Xero. So if I jump into my Xero file itself now, I'll jump back into my dashboard and I'll go into my reconciliation page here. Like I mentioned previously, on the left-hand side, you've got your bank feeds. On the right-hand side, you've got your transaction that has gone through. So HubDoc pushing that carbon invoice through straight away, my Xero file has picked that up. It's light up in green. So before reconciling this, where this sits at as well is under business, I'll go to bills to pay, awaiting payment. And you can see that this transaction has now been created within my Xero file. So I haven't had to do that at all. And within the transaction itself, all the description has been filled out. And within the transaction itself as well, you've got the source documents attached to that transaction moving forward too. So, not only do you have those information sitting within HubDoc, but moving forward within the transactions in Xero, you've got those source documents sitting there itself as well, right? So it makes it really easy for you to start substantiating on different things within the business as well.
So Max, then, so to summarize that little process then, in theory, a person running a Xero file could have a cost for a particular supplier. They could set up maybe an auto payment system like a direct debit, so the payment's automatically made. Then you can set up HubDoc to collect the document, push the document through to Xero, and using rules, you can even have that automatically coded to the right account. So really then as the end user, the only requirement is to click OK on the reconciliation screen.
No, exactly right. Exactly right.
And then translate that as from a bookkeeping perspective, if you translate out the savings of time, multiply that over tens, hundreds or thousands of invoices, the saving time is very significant.
Absolutely, absolutely significant as well. And what this means as well is, no need to scan or anything like that anymore. Like you can just take a picture of it. You've got the email set up. So the time savings, like you mentioned, Nick, just can't be underrated there as well. And of course the accuracy moving forward too, because like you mentioned with the bank rules, you ensure that there's consistency in which all this information are flowing into as well.
Yeah. So the role of the bookkeeper becomes less, or the input of information becomes less about interpreting the supplier document and more about running the software.
Correct, exactly right. Running the software. And of course, there's a couple of features that I'll show you later on as well, in which you can start actually getting really clean insights on how the business is tracking. And this is where you can start transitioning towards that advisory space as well. You know, like just talking about cash flow, talking about, you know, how the bank account is looking. So yeah, like different things like that, which is what we're trying to achieve here. Like we're trying to cut out all these manual transposition of data, all these data entry, to give you guys back time in order to, you know, better service clients out there too. Yeah. Cool. So that's pretty much HubDoc in a nutshell. Really, really good one there. So just a bit wary of time as well. I can't believe, you know, how quickly time has gone by here too. But you know, one of the big things within Xero itself as well, and I'll touch on this really quickly, is in relation to the invoicing side of things. So the invoicing side of things, this is a really, really good one here within Xero too. So within business, I can jump into invoices. So if you're not using HubDoc, or if you want to generate new invoices within Xero itself, you can do that quite easily within Xero too. So you can click new invoices. And what you can do within this invoice function here is you can start populating out your information. So if you already have your contact details here, you can type in your contact details, and from there you can send it out to your particular customer. In this case, because I'm a new contact, so I can just easily create a new contact here, make sure that my email is correct. And once I'm happy with that, click save. And from there, you know, you can start invoicing out different things that you've provided as a business. So we've got a tracked and untracked way to, you know, put information in. So a tracked way is if you've got inventory, for example, you can track the different inventory that you have. Untracked is, you know, the services that you might provide as a business itself. So in this case, let's just go, I want to invoice myself for the development work that has been done. And over here, you can see the price has been already inputted and set up within these different categories there. Once I'm happy with this particular invoice, I can actually preview this invoice. So this is what it's going to look like on the computer. And if you want to look at it on a phone basis, this is what it's going to look like on the phone itself as well. Because as we know, nowadays, it's a lot better. And you know, we want to ensure that you're able to work from anywhere, anytime, from any device itself. And that's why, you know, having that phone function here as well, it's going to save you and change the way in which you operate with your clients moving forward too. So once I'm happy with this particular invoice, what I want to do is, you know, you can send, you can get a link, you can print, entirely up to you, but I want to send this out. So let me add myself back in, and I want to send this out here. Cool. So quite happy with that. I want to send this out. And as you can see here, you've got a body email here as well. And this is what's going to be communicated to your clients and your customers moving forward too. So just make sure that the email is correct. You can send yourself a copy. You can attach a PDF itself as well. But I'm quite happy with this. So I'm going to click send. And what's happening now is Xero has just automatically sent this invoice out to your customer. So while that's doing, and while that's running in the background, I'm going to jump into my own email address here. So, you know, take, for example, this is what your customer is going to see. So this is from your customer's point of view. So once you have sent that invoice out, hopefully if the internet works and if it's going quick, the invoice should be sitting within your customer's inbox moving forward as well. How do you keep check of this? You can actually go to business, you can go to invoices, and there's actually a status area here. So you've got an awaiting payment, and it will actually tell you whether that invoice has been sent and whether it's been viewed itself too. So the moment that your client has received that particular invoice, which I'm hoping is now, perfect. All I need to do is just click into that particular email here. You can see the body paragraph telling you what's outstanding, what needs to be done. And then from there, what I can do is just click pay now as a customer. So you can see what a seamless transition this is and how easy it is to start paying for invoices for the services that you provide as a business. So the moment that I've opened up this particular invoice and I've viewed it as a customer, on the Xero side of things, you can actually see on the status side that this has been viewed by your customer too, right? So you can actually start keeping track of, okay, whether your customer has received that invoice and whether they've viewed that invoice themselves as well. From there, you know, quite happy as a customer in relation to the services provided. And what I can do is just click this pay now button here. as a business using Xero, you can actually start attaching different payment gateways within your invoices. So payment gateways are things like PayPal, Stripe, Square, in which it will make it really easy for your customers to make payments moving forward. And it's been a proven fact that businesses with payment gateways are getting paid 14 days quicker during the month. And, during these times with cash flow being such a big thing as well, we want to ensure that we're getting paid on time just so that we can start catering for all these different offerings and different needs within the business too. Cool. So that's the invoice side of things. Next thing that I'll jump into, and these are two new reports that I feel is quite important to businesses out there that we've decided to release to the public within Xero. It's called the short-term cash flow and the business snapshot reports. So these ones here, it's going to give businesses the ability to view how their business is tracking, to forecast out what their business is going to look like in particular periods itself as well. So just to give you a high level overview in relation to this, I'll jump into my short-term cash flow report. And over here, what we've decided to do is, even though it's a pilot version, we've decided to release this because, we really do feel the advantages that you can get from this is really going to be big. So as a business, what I can do is select my two bank accounts here, and I can actually start projecting out what my bank account is going to look like in the next 7 days or the next 30 days. So these projections are based on the invoices and bills entered within Xero. And again, you can see this integration with HubDoc is really going to ensure that the accuracy of data that you can get it's going to be paramount, because as long as you're on top of all these different things, the projection is going to be accurate moving forward too. So I'm going to click show projection here, and you can see within this projection, you've got today's balance, you've got invoices owed to you, bills you need to pay, and then you've got your projected balance on the 4th of September. Flexibility is paramount here as well, so you can select between all your different accounts. And at this point, next 7 days or next 30 days, but again, this is a pilot version, so we will continuously try to improve upon this feature as well. But what this really goes to show is, you've got a really clean snapshot of the invoices owed to you. So you can see the invoice that I've just generated previously. You've got your bills to pay. And then from there, you can actually start putting in suggested actions for your business itself as well. So adding dates for the invoices that needs to be paid, or adding bills, so adding dates to your overdue bills itself as well. Because the more accurate this data is, the more accurate your projection is going to be moving forward too.
Yeah, so Max, I think from an advisor's perspective, what we typically see is that there's people or businesses in different categories. There's those that don't have any cash flow visibility. They rely on their bank balance.
Yeah.
That's their cash flow visibility. They normally log into an internet banking and if there's money there, and that's their cash flow health check.
Exactly right.
And then there's those that do cash flow analysis, but they do it via Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
What they'll often do is export data from Xero, and that can have its advantages because you can manipulate data, but it has its risks because you end up potentially taking information that's not necessarily correct and maybe missing out on vital information.
Yep.
Then there's the third category, which is what you're showing here, which is an integrated cash flow system within the bookkeeping file itself.
Yep.
Which seems to me to be the most accurate system if time is invested in establishing it correctly.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely right. And just piggybacking off what you mentioned about the Excel form as well. So, coming from a accounting background myself, I loved Excel. I absolutely love Excel. The formulas has been great. But the trapping of that though is you're working on obsolete data essentially. Yeah. Because you're extracting data in, you're spending a lot of time to, make sense of that data and build out the data to forecast different things. But once you've done that time period has already gone by, So as advisors, as businesses as well, we want to ensure that we're working proactively, thinking forward as well. And through this inbuilt system here, as long as your data is clean within Xero and you're up to date with things, you can project this out quite accurately moving forward as well. Yeah.
It's fair to say, I think that cash flow projection is probably a more advanced element of a lot of small businesses.
Absolutely.
But being someone who's a small business owner myself, I can attest to the fact that cash flow projecting it's actually really important once you do it. You realize how helpful it is to know where you're going with things, because it is really a future looking metric. It's not something you're looking to review mirror on.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And you know, like especially if you want more insights on, you know, how to improve different things or what these different information means as well. That's why you've got great accountants out there like Wilson Pateras. You know, this is where businesses out there can get in contact and just talk about, okay, what does this mean? How do we improve upon the cash flow, improve upon the projection itself as well? Yeah, yeah. And to even drill down even more as well, if you really want to find out the day-to-day activity here too, you can actually hover over these line graphs here and it'll show you the day-to-day projection of the balance, the invoices owed to you, and the bills you need to pay as well. So, you know, a lot of information here too. Awesome. The next one that I'll touch on is the business snapshot. So this, once again, you know, it is a pilot feature that we've released, but once again, cash flow is key. So we really do feel that releasing this is really going to be a positive aspect for businesses out there. So business snapshot, as its name suggests, it gives you a snapshot of what a business is looking like at a certain period in time. And it gives you that ability to compare it to prior periods itself as well. So for today, what I want to do is actually compare it to my last month figure. So over here, you've got the July figure. So, you know, your July figure, your profit and loss, and you've got your June figure sitting there as well. And from there, it will give you the percentage and the dollar amount of the differences between the two different months there. From there, you can drill down even further. So it breaks it down between the income area and the expenses area here as well. And once again, if you hover over these line graphs here, it will show you the 19th of July figure, compare it to the 19th of June figure. So side-by-side comparison on the specific day itself. So this is a really good one here, once again, just to give you a snapshot of how your business is tracking, what it's looking like. You've got, you know, your gross profit margin sitting there as well. And it actually states out the largest operating expenses that the business is incurring at the moment too. So within this one here, it's going to show you, okay, within July, your wages and salary has gone up compared to your June period. So this is where you can start collaborating with your advisors, talking to them about, okay, what's the reason for this? Is there any way for us to improve upon all these different figures itself as well? So this exchange of information is going to be really good. From there, you've got your financial position in cash, overall cash position here too. And this is probably my favorite one within the business snapshot, that it shows you the average time that you're getting paid within a certain period itself. So, you know, right now you can see that it's gone up by 17 days. So, you know, it's decreased 4 days from June. But if you're able to see that you are getting paid slower, you know, these are the type of conversations that you can have with your accountants like Wilson Pateras, saying, okay, what are ways in which we can improve upon this? Are there systems that we should be thinking about, talking to, that can ensure that we're getting paid on time or even quicker moving forward as well? So this is where that operational stuff can really come in, and, you know, questions that you can ask your advisors in relation to this as well. A really good thing about this snapshot as well too is you can actually print this out. And it's a 2-pager, really, really clean snapshot here that you can print out. So if you do need to provide it to any stakeholders, for example, you can do that yourself too, which is quite good. Cool. So that's the business snapshot there. Last thing that I'll touch on in relation to Xero, and, you know, part of our core features within Xero itself is, of course, the payroll function within Xero. So right now, you know, quite a big thing with JobKeeper, with STP, there's a lot of things happening at the moment, but within Xero, you know, I can assure you that you'll be always compliant when it comes to your payroll side of things. So just really, really high level in relation to payroll, what I want to show you is, you know, how easy it is just to get an overview of where your payroll is sitting at, where your pay runs is in, your leave to approve, your timesheets to approve, and, you know, of course, when the next pay run is as well. If you ever want to learn more about the payroll side of things within Xero, we do have, you know, really great resources and videos about this, but I won't go into it in too much detail for today. What I want to touch on though is JobKeeper. So this is a really big one here. So, you know, JobKeeper round 2 is going to be coming up really soon as well. So this is where we want to ensure that all our customers are on top of it. So within Xero itself, we've got a little checklist that really tells you what you need to do to ensure that you're on top of JobKeeper, to ensure that you're across who is eligible for JobKeeper moving forward as well. So one of our really great releases is the turnover calculator here. So rather than you having to manually calculate, you know, whether there's been any change in the relevant periods, you can actually just do this within the turnover calculator within your Xero file. because by doing this, you're going to be able to see whether you're eligible for JobKeeper and the thresholds there as well. Again, we leave this up to the experts. This is just a starting point. But if you do need more information about this, I really do suggest reaching out to Wilson Pateras, and they can walk you through, the eligibility side of things and how to get on top of the lodgements of these different things as well. It's a really, really good one there. And then from there, once you've got your business eligibility sorted out, we want to make sure that you're set up with STP. So all our plans, you are already eligible and opted in for STP. So that's a really, really easy process there. Once you've done that, you can start enrolling your employees for JobKeeper payments and different things like that too. So, really, really detailed information here. Aside from that as well, because of the changes that the government is implementing too, we want to show you what we're working on the Xero's point of view as well. So right now we are trying to, keep up to date with what the ATO is trying to do and what the government is trying to do as well. So definitely watch this space, because we will continuously update and provide improvements within our platform itself too. Awesome. So that's pretty much all the demonstration that I really wanted to do in relation to the core functions, the core features within Xero. A lot to take in, but don't worry too much, because I'll be sending out a wrap-up email, a follow-up email with all these different things that I've covered through, just to show you how you can take advantage of Xero and how to stay on top of your finances, get visibility of your business itself as well.
Thanks, Max. I think we have a quick question from Christine on the wages and salaries and the cash flow report.
Yeah, Christine, that is a very, very good question there. So that's definitely something that we know we do need to improve upon, because as you notice as well, right now the cash flow report, it is only based on the invoices and bills. So wages, salary doesn't go into that at the moment, but our product team is working on that, just so that we can cater for that as well. Yeah, but that's actually a really, really good question there. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Max. Thanks for the presentation. It's been most insightful. I think tying into that question from Christine, one of the things that we've seen, and we've been a supporter of Xero for almost 10 years now, when there are things that need improvement or there's little gaps, Xero has certainly been an organisation that has kept up with that innovation, and we've seen the continual improvement and the system just continue to get better and better. And it was one of the reasons why we supported Xero quite early, because we could see that's where the industry was headed. And so, we're very thankful for your support in today's presentation. And certainly if anyone is on this call has any questions in future, please feel free to contact myself or anyone else within Wilson Pateras who is helping to manage your affairs, and we'll be sure to hopefully help you and sort out your issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And just quickly, just to wrap up as well. So, just a little quote: digital should be seen less as a thing, more a way of doing things. Back then, digital technology, cloud, everyone was just like, oh, what is all these different things? But now it's becoming the norm of operation as well. So, definitely start to embrace it and make use of those technology and features that is available to you. And lastly, as well, as a thank you for being part of our event today as well. For anyone that isn't on Xero yet, this is a special promotion code, 50% off for 4 months. It is only available through Wilson Pateras though. So if you are interested in getting set up with Xero, please do reach out to your accountants and they can help you out with that point of view as well. Key takeaway: beautiful business, easy collaboration, improve your cash flow, get visibility, get really clean snapshots of your business, and of course, stay compliant as well, because with STP, with JobKeeper, with your tax affairs, with technology in place and with your advisors in place as well, this is where you can really, really start taking your business to the next level too.
Thank you, Max.
All good.
Enjoyed today's presentation, and thank you for all the attendees for being part of today's webinar.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone's time. Next steps, yeah.
See you soon. Stay safe.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.